I have grave concerns in Nottingham Rock Cemetery, as it seems to be known. I didn't really see any signage. I guess it's a central cemetery. And I've already had a good preview. I've walked along the gate, and it's beautiful in its clustering of statues and stones going all directions, like a lot of these old British cemeteries. As you can see here, Celtic crosses, regular crosses, Victorian stones, grassy, tall grass once again, and empty. I saw nobody in here, and this is really on top of a hill. I kind of basically walked uphill the whole way from downtown. The town itself was beautiful. Lots of great old buildings. But a lot of the main street shops are closed or, vacant, I guess. Which is common in England these days, and a shame, but at least a lot of the buildings are preserved. As you can see, this is just a forest of tall stones. I don't know of any prominent people in here in particular. I'm sure there are some that are essentially locally prominent. You can kind of see the main street down there, or the adjacent street, I should say. Yeah, the grass is so tall that it's almost inaccessible. Here we go again with the weed trimmers, leaf blowers, things like that. The bane of my existence. I really hate them. Let's see who's in one of these tall angel graves. Herbert Charles Rowe, 1923, is in this tall one here. Beautiful purple flowers. Look at those things. And Frederick Charles, Emma Campbell, early 20th century. Which I would have guessed these were late 19th century. I mean, the people are born in the late 19th century, but the stones, their death dates, are all early 20th century. I like this one here with the angel hanging on the cross. Again, that sort of bright overcast sky sometimes renders these things dark. But it has quite the aesthetic appeal here with these stones. Oh, I would say just relatively tall. They're all kind of big. Thomas Hallam, 1896. So yeah, Nottingham, of course, famous for the Robin Hood stories, and Sheriff of Nottingham. There is a Little John grave, but it's in a small town, a bit far off from here. A friend mentioned it to me. He remembers seeing it featured like in the 70s or early 80s on Ripley's Believe It or Not television show. So I'm not sure what they were saying. That would be kind of cool if there was a YouTube video of that Ripley's episode. You can kind of see the church here too. I'm going to swing around the church back towards the entrance at the end of this lane. So yeah, grave of Little John exists somewhere. I certainly am not aware of any grave of Robin Hood. I didn't even look it up. I assume there is no such thing. He's kind of a legendary character, but you know, there are, if Little John exists, then Sheriff of Nottingham is somewhere, and there may be something. I don't feel like this town exploits the whole Robin Hood thing quite enough. I really didn't see any. I mean, I saw some references, you know, on like the bus stops. They have like a bus program that they call the Robin Hood Season Pass or something like that. But there's no like Sheriff of Nottingham museum. You would think they'd exploit that a little more. Just gonna take a look at some of the stones in here. Depplage, 1884, 1898. More deplages, and this one just kind of caught my eye. Beautiful carving here. Harriet, wife of Samuel Folket, 1883. There's some sharp looking lettering. Joseph Raymond Booth, 1883. William Shipley, also 1883. There's a bit of a shaded section here under this nice tree. John Atkinson, 1882, only 42 years. Lily Elizabeth. Can't quite read that last name. D-P-A-R-O-N. DeParon? Watson. 1905. This looks like a military grave, but I don't know. Maybe somebody who knows about this stuff would recognize it. King's Own Yorkshire ELI, 1919. Seems like a late World War I grave. Here's some caches. I've never come across caches before. I know Johnny Cash has some Scottish heritage. Here's Joseph Cash, 1879, and Sarah Ann. In life resurrected, in death lamented. Getting a little deeper here. This is a long cemetery. But as you can see, it has quite the aesthetic when you've got this kind of overgrown foliage and a big angel statue popping out. Sorry if there's a bit of a clicking noise. My little handheld device here sort of broke. There's a missing screw in here that I've temporarily replaced with a toothpick. It's doing the job, but it's making it click a bit. This is nice here. When it gets really green and overgrown, it just is a nice place to walk. Mossy path. Lots of variety. A lot of plant variety here. Lizzie, wife of Samuel Henry Davies, 1924. Or 18. No, that's 1924. Nice colors here. Look at those plants. So yeah, nice town. A little bigger than Leicester. Eliana Sarah Moore, 1927. I feel like I'm already getting to the north end here. or I guess, let's see, it'd be the west end, since I walked north to get here. Kind of went through like a housing project, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, actually, it was nice. It was clean and quiet, but it was definitely some kind of subsidized housing. Yeah, there's a big park outside the cemetery, but it's got some high stone walls here at the end. And that's where we are. Might as well go to the bitter end here. So iron gates all around until you come to this side. Big stone wall. I like this channel that I'm in here. This is pretty cool. And this one in the corner is pretty nice. Thomas, husband of Sophia Corbett, 1901. Got a nice lone spot there in the corner. Nice and damp back here where it doesn't get a lot of sun. So here's a good example of that wall. So to the left is some kind of a park, and then the stone wall just runs the length of it. I'm going to try to get back up the hill a little bit, or I'm going to be in this ditch. Or, oh, that's interesting. I've got a stone wall to my right, but I think that's just an interior stone wall. And I'm going to keep going down the ditch. Let's see. Bit of prickers here. I keep getting scraped. Gotta watch out for thistles. Here's some thistles. These things are sharp as hell. I brushed one the other day up in Scotland. It was a much bigger thistle. And it gave me a good stab. Just brushing it. Drew blood. Thistle's a big symbol in Scotland, and then I was at the Guildhall the other day, and they also had a thistle as the symbol of their authority. So yeah, Nottingham, kind of a, you know, its former glory is evident in the buildings, but its prime has passed, and like a lot of these places, they're trying to reinvent these towns that used to be more industrial and canal based and railroad based. The manufacturing days are over, and now they're all becoming bedroom communities. And don't ask me where people make their money, finance or banking, I have no idea. And then just general service industries and universities and hospitals, but they don't make too much anymore. Not compared to the way it used to be. So it'll be interesting to see how these places look in another 20 years. They're already significantly transformed from what they were. Oh God, big pricker. From what they were maybe 20 or 30 years ago. So another generation, and they will certainly be transformed. I'm smelling a little weed. Somebody smoking weed around here is so often the case in the cemeteries. Well, I'm not physically seeing anybody. The weed goes for miles. Okay, coming back out here to some more stones. That was a bit of a wilderness. Weed could also be coming from the park next door. So yeah, there's a lot of construction in the center of town where they're transforming old buildings into, you know, these kind of apartments with shops and things on the bottom. Trying to transform these economies. Pardon me. How you doing? So yeah, guy had his tent set up in here. Again, you know, cemeteries seem to always have a little place for homeless folks, good place to hide out, you know. And there's some weed smoking going on, some things that shouldn't be happening, but that's just reality. Everywhere I go, there's people living rough, as they say here in England, and otherwise just young people getting high, staying out of the general view. This is interesting. Annie Pollock, wife of Walter Hunter, MD, 1906. Got a nice little relief on there. So, no groundskeepers, nobody at the gate. This is just kind of a cemetery that is left to its own devices. No money. I mean, there were a couple of recent graves in here, so, you know, it's obviously still in use, but mostly historic. Henry Wood, 1890. German Hunt Bridges, that's a name. 1901. Thomas Drury Wood. Mary Ann Trivett, Joseph Roseblade, 1816, 1886. Kind of back up towards the center. It's actually a nice view of the church and all the stones. And that's it, coming back out towards the entrance of Rock Cemetery. So, aesthetic beauty of its own. You know, every one of these places is unique. And this is no exception. No big names here that I'm aware of. You know, there's old mayors and things like that. But international fame, maybe somebody, but I don't know who it is. There's no big draw. But has great aesthetic value. This one's quite prominent here. Let's see who we have. The Dearly Loved Children. Cecil Emma, Elizabeth Mary, William Spur. This is Thomas Kittier. Quite a prominent stone. Let me just check some of these over by the main entrance. Thought maybe these would be some of the first ones, but they don't look particularly old. Eliza Bexon, yeah, 1927. So no, this is just little collection here, and back out towards the entrance, and this World War I, World War II memorial cross that stands in the middle of the entrance. So I was on my way out and thought I'd check out another little area, and then I noticed all of these high walls are concealing a cave system, which is sort of a unique feature of this place, and I just managed to circumvent it the whole time. But here we are down in the rut. It's not far from the entrance. It's just sort of, it's like a valley. You can't really see it so well. So I'm glad I found it here. George Sadler. That would have been a major oversight to come to this cemetery and not, it was MBE, George Sadler. Let me just go back to that. Jeffrey Rushton, youngest son of Sadler, 1937. Not sure why he got the MBE, but this is pretty cool looking here with these carvings, this cave system. I'm not sure what the geological anomaly is here that made this happen. Got quite a big tent here. There's a Jewish stone. This reminds me of Guadix, Spain, where people live in caves. Some beautiful stones here. A little bit cordoned off. Might be a little bouncy here. I'm not using my X variable compensator, so a little bit of a bounce. Got some markers in the wall. These are from like the 20s to the 40s. See if I can get back to this sort of central one here. Oh, it's treacherous. Oh. Oh. That ain't gonna work. Bit of a drop.